So this slide talks about the impact. You don't have to talk about just the impact on you, but how about you, your peers? What's your perception of the impact on your earning potential, your career potential? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, what I will say is immediately upon graduation, it was noticed by a lot of people that I had finished this program and there was a lot of interest in it. And so, people around my office asked about it, asked about the projects that I did, and I got involved in a lot of projects in the workplace simply because, again, they're like, "Oh, cool, I see you graduated. Tell me more." And then they're like, "Cool, you have exposure in this. How do you think about this problem? Do you want to be a part of this project?" So I got a lot of that. I also got promoted after graduating as well. So it was very helpful. Obviously, a salary bump is nice too, but it was immediately rewarding and it showed clear value. The time that you spend in here and the effort really pays off once you're done. And yeah, I'd say it has continued to open doors for me since graduating. Every year and a half or so, I've been offered a new opportunity and I've continued to grow with it. So that's my take on it.
So you think it's worth the invested time and the invested money, which is pretty substantial, right? I mean, 2 years, even though we call it part-time, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, a lot of MBA programs out there offer to do the same thing. And, some of my mentors have actually gone through this program before. If you remember Lauren Seeks, Dan
Oh
Stull.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He just sent me a message on LinkedIn the other day. Yeah.
Yep. He was the reason why I wanted to join because I asked him about it. And he was like, Jackie, when I did this or MSCTL program, it was just getting off the ground. But at the time he was taking or doing his MBA too. And from his take, he said that, this program had a lot more to offer. In his MBA program, he did supply chain management, and that was very like high level. But here you are learning the grassroots problems of every, facet about supply chain, whether it's again supply chain, management, inventory management, forecasting, data and like all of it. So I'd say like that was a big reason why I joined this program.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Lauren because when he was in the program, I think he was at Boeing, right? So we have got a lot of Boeing people because Boeing has pretty generous educational compensation packages.
Yep.
It's also a big company, and he was really kind of stressed out
Mhm.
about going into a because he was thinking about leaving and going to Convoy, which was just a pure startup at that point.
Yeah.
Um, so how, and it's a little bit of an aside, how would you compare and contrast working in a big company like Morgan Stanley
Mhm.
with a startup where my impression is you end up activating a whole bunch of different skills depending on literally the needs of the day? What's your impression of the startup versus big company and how this program may help you even in a startup or a consulting environment?
Yeah, again, it gives you like the broad application, like understanding of like very broad concepts where in a startup world, you have to wear a lot of hats, right? There are very few people in the company naturally. And so like having exposure to all of these things already gives you an advantage compared to your peers because you have some foundation of how like X processes work or X concepts, flow. And so you end up being tapped for a lot of different things that your company needs that only you have to offer, whereas your peers and colleagues may only operate in silos or are good at that one thing that they were hired to do.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
you don't mind a little bit of chaos that comes with being in a growing organization then.
no, not at all. I actually thrive in it. And I
Yeah.
did the, large enterprise like Morgan Stanley,
Yeah.
Amazon, type of roles. And somehow I still get sucked back to these like convoy-esque
Yeah.
environments. That's
Yeah.
probably why I boomeranged back to my old team now at BA.
Yeah, nice. Nice. That's great.